Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 22nd April 2017. The first article, Waiting for the Lokpal. So, this article is written in the context of India's fight against corruption and how the Lokpal Act is getting diluted in the process. You know that the Lokpal Act was passed on the background of this India Against Corruption movement. Since then, though Lokpal was enacted by the parliament, it is not yet notified by the government. Added to that, the act is getting diluted over a period of time. Why the law is not notified? So let us see it this way. A selection committee shall exist to appoint the Lokpal. This selection committee shall consist of leader of opposition as one of the member. As of now, in the present Lok Sabha, as there is no leader of opposition, it has to be amended to leader of single largest opposition party. And the government is not taking this forward. And added to that, the Lokpal Act also talks about the declaration of assets of the officer, his partner, and the dependent children. So this is also been diluted, and the central government will declare the format in which officers' assets have to be declared. And finally, the Prevention of Corruption Act is also being amended. So the prosecution of government officers need permission from the government. Under the Lokpal can give the permission to prosecute the officers with corruption charges. So now the power from the Lokpal is being taken back, and government can sanction the prosecution of the officers. This facility or this protection is also been extended to the retired civil servants now. So those are the points which we need to understand. Quoting another political verdict. So this is not very much an important article for us from the civil's perspective because it is related to the Pakistan internal politics. Now you know that there are two pillars, military government and civilian government. The military is the establishment and it wants to maintain its control over the political parties of the day, especially the civilian government of the day. And in this context, the judiciary, which is expected to maintain the constitution or supremacy of the constitution, never stood to the expectations of the people. In this case, the author talks about the Panama Papers. So the Panama leak, it has provided that Mr. Sharif has certain properties in London where the money is being illegally sourced. So there is a demand for removal of the Sharif from the office by the judiciary. Then judiciary has constituted for joint investigation team on these particular assets. This JIT, it is supposed to inquire about the Panama Papers and assets of the Prime Minister, and it consists of most of the people from the army. So in this context, so the civilian government can be easily embarrassed by the army if it needs. So that's why finally the civilian government is expected to play to the tunes of the army. That's what is the point which he wants to guide us over here to. At the crossroads. Now you know that it is European Union at the crossroads. There are elections which are going on in Germany, France, Italy. So in this, the French elections, I think in this week, and these are going to be remarkable to the history of the European Union as a whole. Normally, France consists of conservatives and socialists. So the business people favor the conservatives and the common people or else welfare is being the propaganda of the socialists. So Miss Franco Hollande, so this person belongs to the socialists and is the most unpopular president in the history of the France. So that's why there could have been a better chance for the conservatives. But however, conservative candidate has certain corruption allegations against them. The biggest worry to the people in the France is the growth of the right wing. National Front, which is being headed by Miss Marie Le Pen, it is also gaining popular vote. That's what worries the European Union leaders because it is against globalization, against immigration, and it is not sorry about genocide or this particular Holocaust which has happened during the World War II. And in these circumstances, so there are other parties. There is an independent Emmanuel Macron who is more providing an alternative to the conservative candidate, Mr. Franco Fillon. That is what has been spoken. So whoever wins the election, So it clearly shows an anti-establishment vote because the unemployment rate among the youth is at 20%, and along with the 2008 recession and after effects of this are still not over in France. That is what has been stated. So this article, the next article, United They Stand. So this article is about the politics in Tamil Nadu. We need not worry much about this. Now let's get into the world page. So the most important thing here is the Iran nuclear deal. So Iran nuclear deal recently, President Trump has declared that he will be relooking or renegotiating or scrapping the Iran nuclear deal altogether. So then Wendy Sherman, who led the negotiations with Iran, she has clearly stated that the United States can't take any action alone with regard to Iran nuclear deal because it was negotiated with group of countries, not the United States alone. That's what she talks about. Now, along with this, there are something called Madesi is willing to participate in local polls. It means some common ground is appeared to be coming with regard to the Nepal politics has been considered. So let's get into the front page, news page. So the FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, it is being misused, and the Home Ministry recently has cancelled the FCRA registration of Public Health Foundation of India, and it has been stated that it is trying to influence the public policy in India. So, and it is also been stated that the association of PHFI with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation can also be a reason for the same. So, in this context, this interview clearly states that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is not interested to involve on the policy matters with the government, only where the gaps are being imminent. It tries to provide knowledge and tries to fill the gaps. That is what is this article talks about. And then let's get into the front page. Aadhaar is getting linked to the PAN card. Why it has to be done so? Why we are supposed to be worried so? So now, always in a democracy there shall be a balance between government and citizen. So this fine balance has to exist, and Aadhaar is providing or shifting the balance towards the government. The government possessing an integrated information of the citizens will have a multiplier effect, then the power of the government and its agencies is bound to increase. So in this context, the rights of the citizens may get threatened. That's why the Supreme Court is looking into this matter. So that is what is the news which for the day. And coming to the revision of the news, the most important article for today is waiting for the Lokpal. So what are the points here? The government shall show its commitment towards fight against corruption. In this context, it has to implement the Lokpal in letter and spirit. That's what is the article talks about. And presidential elections in the France, at the crossroads article, what it talks about is any vote in the presidential election is ultimately a vote against the establishment. And added to that, 2008 financial crisis still is not over in France. Unemployment rates are very much high. And the article with regard to quoting another political verdict, it is about the status of judiciary in Pakistan. Judiciary is also being influenced by the establishment mindset in the Pakistan. In any democratic country, judiciary is expected to be independent, but establishment mindset of the judiciary is working against the interests of the people. So that's what is this article is talking about. Now, let's go to the next page. US launches probe into China steel dumping. So Mr. Trump has launched the probe into China steel dumping, and previously European Union raised the same objections to Chinese steel. And then we speak about India must focus on domestic market. So Arvind Pangaria, he clearly states that as the global market is not expected to revive in sooner time, we also need to emphasize on developing the domestic market. That is what the Chinese are doing as of now. So this is what is the important news for the day. Thank you very much and all the best.